Different kind of situation going on with Stars right now. I guess no pun intended with the Dallas Stars and what happened after a recent loss. Let's take a listen to head coach Jim Montgomery and what he had to say.
Are you disappointed with the scoring of the top players right now?
Very disappointed.
Are you seeing signs of progress? Or?
No. Are you?
No. How do you fix it?
Reduce ice time, we've tried, you know. We're trying video, one-on-one sessions, all those things, but, you know, they got to decide that they want to be a difference maker. I mean, look who scored for the Jets. Right? We got really good big goals by Janmark and Faxa, and that's our third and fourth line.
How important is it with Hintz out and Klingberg out for them to step up?
It's really important, you know. You need your number one center, you need your number one left winger to step up and do more.
Was he in a good mood? How's it going for him that night? Huh?
Wow, we've seen that before. Same situation last year, right?
Exactly. And just to kind of go back a little bit, and he mentioned their positions, and you all know who he's talking about, Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin. But what you just referenced, last year, the team CEO in Dallas also called out the leadership. And, you know, he used his own words and had his own mood with it, but it was a similar message. Is there a leadership problem in Dallas?
It can be frustrating for a coach or general manager to watch Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin play, because there's times when you watch a Stars game and they're the best players in the National Hockey League. They're up and down the ice, they're making plays, they're competitive, they're hungry around the net, and the numbers that they put up speak for themselves. And then there's other times when you need a big win and you don't get that same production, and sometimes it looks like those two players are a little disinterested in what's going on in the game. The fact that this is the second year in a row that they're being publicly called out is concerning to me. Mm-hmm. The good news for the Dallas Stars is that they've got a ton of young players coming up through the system that have kind of taken that next step in their development. Roope Hintz, we heard, is out of the lineup. John Klingberg's missed some time. Those are two guys that are taking that team over. Haskinen's another player. So, you know, I don't really know what to tell you about Benn and Seguin. I can see the frustration on that coach's face, Jim Montgomery.
You can tell me more than the other guys in the studio can, because you were teammates with them for the latter part of your career in Dallas.
The last thing I'll say is the fact that Jim Montgomery's going to the media and answering questions publicly like that tells me that this is the last option, and that they've tried other things, the one-on-one meetings, the video sessions. They're trying to motivate these players, and it hasn't seemed to work.
You can go to the well so often, and then eventually you're going to dig so deep and down in that hole that it's going to backfire on your team too. So that's a real fine line for a head coach. It was actually easier for him when the CEO did it,
right,
and not having to do it himself. But you can be guaranteed that he's had numerous meetings with both players as individuals before he's going to the media. If that's not the case, if he hasn't done that, then you could have a major problem. Star players, especially guys that wear letters on their jerseys, have a lot of pull in the locker room. And you have to be really careful on how far you push those guys, or they can not only take their own game, but everybody else with them. You better trust in the younger players that they are capable of separating themselves from those star players.
Yeah.
So I would tell you that Jim Montgomery is taking a big risk here, and
it sounds like you're not a huge fan of it.
Oh, I'm not saying that he's wrong. Trust me, I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm telling you that he better hope that those two players take it the right way. And twice in a year, their names out there. This is, as a player, that is not what you want. You want to be help to get your game to a higher level, the level that you're capable of playing. But there's times that it can really go the other way. And this is a real risky time right now for the Dallas Stars. Very interested to see what happens here.
I wonder if the fact that it kind of worked last season had anything to do with doing it again the second time. But I'm with Jonesy. That's a fine line you're walking, calling out star players on the team. I was never really the star player of a team the way Jamie Benn and Tyler Seguin were, but I know I'd be a little concerned if the coach and the general manager and the team president kept using my name in the media to get motivated. I would be on notice for sure.
There is times though that teammates are seeing everything that they may be doing wrong that's on the ice, that's not what the coach is looking for, where they're waiting for the coach to react as well. There's some kids, younger players in that locker room that may be looking for more responsibility. And maybe they're making every little play, doing everything properly, and then they're watching their star players play and they're not doing what the team is supposed to be doing. So they could be at the point, and Jim Montgomery may have sensed that. because he played the game. He's been around the game a long time. That it was his time to step up and make sure that he held everybody accountable. But normally you do that within the locker room.
Exactly.
And that's the challenge. So I have to think that he's done it within the locker room. I would be shocked if he's just bringing it out to the media after a loss against a Jets team that has some star power up front that's producing right now.
And Sharp, yeah, I want to draw a parallel to you going from so many years in Chicago and being used to that locker room that won a lot at a high level, then going to Dallas, and what you thought about that change with what Pavelski is doing. I mean, he got used to a different culture that won at a high level. Now, how do you think he feels, number one, walking into a new situation, and what can he do to help?
Yeah, it's a difficult situation. When you're with a team like a Joe Pavelski that you mentioned, who was with San Jose for such a long period of time and did so many of the details and little things to help that team win. He was a big part of that locker room. Now you shift organizations, you walk into the Dallas Stars, and you want to still be that same player and have the same role within that locker room, but it's a completely different environment. It's not your team just yet. I think Joe Pavelski is inching himself into that leadership role. There's no coincidence, in my opinion, that the team started winning games after that 1-7, 1-8 start, when Pavelski started seeing some more ice time at the center ice position, started taking some bigger face-offs. So you want to walk, you tread lightly. You don't want to come in there, kick the door down and say, hey, I'm here to save the day. But you observe, you see where you can help out, and you try to attack it that way.
Yeah, and the door's open for him now, too, after that. So then that may play into what Jim Montgomery was doing. Corey Perry is there also, another guy that was, you know, a heart and soul type player for the Anaheim Ducks, important player in the Olympics and one of the true stars in the National Hockey League, who produced at an extremely high level and is battling back from numerous injuries. So they do have those guys sitting there watching this as well. So it's really something that I want to continue to focus on as we move along this season, because on paper, Dallas looks like they should be a very good team. And for whatever reason, they have sputtered a couple of different times to start this season.
Yeah, they can't seem to turn that corner. And I would just hope that Jim Montgomery is not just firing off at the end of an overtime loss to Winnipeg and he's just answering questions honestly. I hope there's a little more calculations that go into this and try to motivating those guys, because you call out your star players year after year, it could have a potential to backfire.